Good day, friends. This is the fourth edition of the Asia Pacific Insight podcast to discuss defense and security issues involving the Americans, the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Philippines. And for today's episode, we are joined by Rodney Haleco, a veteran defense analyst who used to cover the Defense Department with me in the late 80s and early 90s. Rodney worked for Philippine Star and ABS-CBN. He is now based in Washington, D.C. And good morning, Rodney in D.C. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Manny. We're fine here. I heard na it's kind of raining there in Manila, so we have a similar weather pattern. It's also raining here. So uh, Washington D.C. and Manila are linked more than security. We are also linked with weather.
Uh, well, that's the big problem now in Manila because of the rains. Many areas are flooded, and if you are aware, we have a big political crisis because of the floods.
Yes.
Because the president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., exposed during his State of the Nation address about the numerous ghost projects. And now, the Sandigan Bayan, the Anti-Corruption Court, has ordered the arrest of former Congressman Elizalde Co for a ghost project in Nauhan, Mindoro Oriental.
Mhm.
So, in a few weeks, we will be uh, having more cases, and hopefully before Christmas, some people will spend their holidays in jail. Anyway, that's not our topic for today. Our topic for today is the busy American activities and movements in Indo-Pacific region. Quietly, the Americans are deploying their marine forces in strategic choke points in the region, like in Okinawa, in Batanes, in Palawan, trying to deter a Chinese amphibious operation against an island which is considered a renegade province. But aside from that, the Americans also announced in late November the activation of a task force Philippines. No, I don't know what exactly is a task force Philippines because Pete Hegseth did not elaborate uh, on this kind of task force. No, although there was a statement from the Pacific Fleet that the task force will create an office in Manila headed by a flag rank officer or a one-star general, and he will have a staff of 60 people, no, in Camp Aguinaldo. But the scope and the size and the functions and activities of this task force, we still don't know. But what they're saying is that the task force will deter Chinese illegal, coercive, aggressive, and dangerous activities in the South China Sea. And in fact, what we are seeing now is that there is a constant presence of a U.S. air carrier strike group in the South China Sea. No? A week ago, USS Nimitz held a trilateral exercise with Japan and the Philippines near Scarborough Shoal. And the Nimitz is returning to the U.S., but we have another carrier, the USS George Washington, which is entering the Philippine Sea, the Luzon Strait, and going into the South China Sea. So there will be a constant presence of the U.S. In the South China Sea. What do you think, Rodney? Is this a positive sign, or is this something that the people should be worried about?
Yeah, the handoff between the USS George Washington and the USS Nimitz is a signal to the Philippines and other countries that are facing the threat from China that the US will maintain a robust naval presence in the South China Sea. No,
Mhm.
it's logical only because the South China Sea is a strategic waterway where about $5 trillion in goods, no, in goods transit. So it has a global strategic value. So you will notice, Manny, it's not only the US that's interested in keeping that sea lane open, no? Even Japan has moved south, and as far as NATO, no, Western Europe, France, Germany, and Great Britain have sent missions to the South China Sea. This is all a sign, no? A message to China about the resolve of the West to protect that vital sea lane. So
Mhm.
the entry of the USS George Washington with its escort ships, no, is only a manifestation of it's only one manifestation of the global concern against China, because China is claiming the whole South China Sea as a Chinese lake, no? Virtually a Chinese lake that they say belongs to them, no? And
Not sea.
you have to pay you have to pay homage to them or be subservient to their sovereignty claims in order to use that sea lanes. And the US is just saying, no, that's not going to happen. We will be here, and it's sending a message, an assurance to the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries who are being subjected to Chinese harassment over competing claims. No? Because we all know that there are flashpoints there, the Spratly Islands, the Paracel Islands with Vietnam. No? And
Mhm.
the carrier battle group there will ensure that the balance of power does not tilt too much for China, because if there is no countering military pressure on China, it will continue to bully these smaller countries, no? Especially Philippines.
The Philippines.
Yeah, they already they already annexed Bajo de Masinloc. No? They have virtually annexed it. And of course, they have built artificial islands all over the Spratly group. No? So this is just part of the U.S. policy, no? U.S. strategy to counter China, and at the same time, there's a corollary purpose for that, no? Because we all know that the Philippines is the weakest link, no? Because in the first island chain that extends from Alaska all the way to South Korea to Japan to Taiwan, all the way down to Indonesia and Australia, no? Papua New Guinea, and then Australia. The Philippines is the most is the weakest link in that first island chain. So uh, it's also a message to the Philippines, no? Don't be
Yeah.
afraid.
Right.
muscle up, you know. The US is talagang they are encouraging the Philippines, especially the armed forces of the Philippines, to continue with the modernization.
The upgrades,
Although,
the
yeah, although
capability build up. Yeah.
yeah, although the Philippines is syempre, it's of course it's challenged economically. What with the especially now with the corruption scandals, because it's not cheap to modernize the military. But the US is showing that it stands ready to support the Philippines in that effort. So we can also discuss about their deployments, no? That, 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 that are quietly ongoing. I think
Yes.
we only
That's
know
right.
the
Yeah.
tip of the iceberg of what's happening because
Yeah.
most of it is done very quietly by the US.
Because there are no press releases, Rodney.
Yeah, yeah, including the ano, di ba? They have as you said, they have a presence virtually in every critical region of the Philippines. That has
Mm.
something to do with countering China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said a while ago about Europe, because last week there was a European delegation in Manila, and they discussed security and defense relation because for the Europeans, South China Sea is very important
Mhm.
because they said that their trade with the world sometimes passes through these waters, no?
Mhm.
Especially trading between Japan and Europe, trading between Korea and Europe, and of course with the Asian countries. Usually, some of their goods were transiting in the South China Sea. So they're also worried that China will control these waters and their trade would be affected.
Yeah.
So they are trying to negotiate a agreement with the Philippines to deepen and broaden security and defense relation with the Philippines.
Yeah. But I think we can see what the West sees as the critical points. The focus with the Philippines is one of them. No?
Yeah,
Although, like these NATO countries are also are conducting training exercises with the militaries of their one-time colonies, no? Like Malaysia, the British and
Malaysia.
the Malaysians have a close security relation. And the fact that the U.S., as far as we know, money, no, we don't know where they are exactly. We can only pinpoint those that we can see, no? Like Batanes, no, it's uh, there's Batanes is basically a focuses on Taiwan, the threat to Taiwan.
Mhm.
It's a support base there, and the task force that you mentioned in Palawan, in Ulugan Bay, is that Ulugan Bay? That
Yes, Ulugan Bay.
that is the one that is proximate to the South China Sea, which is I think the main, no, strategic area as far as the world is concerned. The one in Batanes, yeah, because China has Xi Jinping has promised to reunify with Taiwan by the time of the anniversary of the People's Republic of China.
100
Eh,
years anniversary. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's so that part is destabilizing in itself. So I think that's the reason why there is attention over the Taiwan Strait. But I think the more
Mm.
important strategic interest for most of the world will be the South China Sea. Uh, and I guess as we claim it, the West Philippine Sea, no? It's a transit point for a large portion of world trade. And although I would say that both a conflict in both areas would disrupt the world economic order, world political and economic order, I would say that the bigger damage would be incurred if the conflict breaks out in the South China Sea. So I guess that is the main. That should be the main focus of this coalition, this growing coalition, and of course the Philippines also, because it's the West Philippine Sea. It's the those islands are the closest to Philippine territory, and that's the one that we're being harassed in by China. So the naturally the attention would be there for the Philippines.
Yeah. Speaking of American deployment, the Philippines has a agreement with the United States to preposition and equipment and supplies in 9 locations in the country. This agreement is called the EDCA, no, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, and they have identified 9 areas in the country where the Americans were allowed to deploy troops, equipment, and supplies. So three of them are in three of them are in the northern Luzon, in Cagayan, in Lallo Airport, in Port Irene in Cagayan, and in Gamu, an army base in Isabela. Also in Port Magsaysay, also in Palawan, in Cebu, and in Cagayan de Oro, where we have the Lumbia Airport, the an airport base in northern Mindanao. I'm not sure, Rodney, why there are also areas in the country where the Americans were deployed, but they are not part of EDCA, because we have American troops in Lawag, for instance, where they had their Typhoon missile launcher, no,
Mhm.
and they also have Marines deployed in Batanes, in Mabulis Island, which is the northernmost island in Batanes, uh, about 100 miles uh, north of south of Taiwan, no,
Mhm.
and there are also uh, U.S. is also using Clark and Subic when they deploy, because the P-8 Poseidon, the submarine hunters, sometimes they fly and refuel at Clark.
Mhm.
And of course, there is another base that being developed in Palawan. This is in Balabac, where most of the international shipping pass by from South China Sea to Pacific Ocean. And there were times that the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy were using this narrow strait between Sabah and Palawan to transit to Pacific Ocean. So
Mhm.
these are the choke points, no? Palawan and Northern Luzon. And I'm sure that you have pointed this out earlier that the U.S. Marines have reorganized their unit to deploy to choke points in the region.
Yeah. Actually, this was a report to the U.S. Congress that was submitted last Tuesday, and that's where we learned about the reorganization of certain marine units into what they call the Marine Littoral Regiments. No, there are already littoral regiments, but they are the third regiment of the Marines is based in Hawaii. So it's too far away and it might have different objectives. So it's entirely possible that they are based on the specification of this additional marine littoral regiments. Uh, they sound to be tailor suited to the Philippines, because they are uh, they will be deployed in choke points where there is the conflict. No, there is already an ongoing conflict, and the the way it was worded, the report to the Congress was it really fitted the description of how you may describe what China is doing to the Philippines. No? The harassment, the coercion, the attempts, no, to deny the Philippine vessels, no, and aircraft access to certain areas. These are the very definitions of the Philippines. Although the Philippines is not mentioned there, but these newly formed marine littoral regiments, as designed, uh, appear to be the best suited to be deployed in the Philippines. And yeah, the way this described the regiments is that they will be based in austere, no, austere remote bases. That money, siguro I doubt if we will ever find out right away because they are supposed to be remote. No, presumably it's not some place that we can easily see. So, and but the main feature of this new regiments will be uh, they will be equipped with the MADIS missile systems, no? And the anti-ship missiles, and they have the Gator radar. So we know that this type of equipment is already in the Philippines. Huh? They brought some during Balikatan and never took them back to Okinawa. So
Yes,
we
that's
know
right.
that they are there. No, we know that they are there in the Philippines. So it is uh, likely that the ongoing reorganization of the Marines to form these littoral regiments uh, may involve Marines already in the Philippines. So at least the equipage is already there. You know? The capabilities are already there. So it's just a matter of organizing them into uh, fixed formations, no? Like a regiment, no? A special regiment for the Marines.
Rodney, because you really don't need so many troops on the ground, no? Because a regiment is so large
Mhm.
that you could attract attention. But I think the Americans were deploying teams,
Mhm.
especially armed with the MADIS air defense system
Mhm.
and the Nemesis, the anti-ship missile system. Only a few Marines can operate this equipment, which are remotely operated. No,
Yes.
so there were reports that there were U.S. Marines in Mabulis. No, it's the northernmost island in the Philippines, and there are also Marines in Cagayan and in Ilocos Norte, as well as in Palawan and Zambales. But in Palawan, there is a small naval task force called the Task Force Ayungin, which is helping the Philippines to advise and train how the Philippines could resupply its BRP Sierra Madre on Ayungin Shoal.
Mhm.
And this Task Force Ayungin is also training the Philippine Navy on how to operate five uh, unmanned surface vessel, because the Americans gave five unmanned surface vessel to monitor and the South China Sea, no, including the disputed area in Reed Bank, in Ayungin, and in Sabina Shoal. So this unmanned vessel is actually a force multiplier, no, because we cannot send all our naval assets, which is very few, to South China Sea, and because they would need more fuel to patrol the vast ocean, the vast sea. So they need just the drones. No, we have aerial drones and sea drones, and we also have anti-submarine helicopters. So these are the force multiplier. Now, when it comes to the choke points you were saying earlier, I think the Americans are more interested in choke points around Taiwan, because there are predictions that China might invade the self-ruled island in 2027. That's a few years from now.
Mhm.
And there was this report in the US that the US Marines were delivering a lot of equipment. I believe there were 18 40 footer vans, container vans, and a refrigerated van that were transferred from Okinawa to an island just 70 miles off Taiwan in the west. And this is the southernmost territory of Japan, Uniguni, no? The Marines brought equipment, a lot of medical supplies, a lot of food, no, medicines. So I'm not sure why why they are deploying this and what are they preparing for.
Yeah.
Because there was an exercise in Japan where the US deployed a Typhoon missile launcher, but I believe that the Americans already pulled out the equipment. But the equipment and the materials that were deployed in this southernmost island near Taiwan were still there. So I'm not
Mhm.
sure why that happened. And so is this part of the redeployment of the U.S. Marines? What you have mentioned, the reorganization for uh, a deployment to choke points.
Yeah. I have just 2 points there. No. Number one, if you look at the experience of U.S. support in Ukraine, you will notice that the bulk or the more strategic assistance the U.S. provides Ukraine is not actually the weapons. No? It's actually intelligence, because
Mhm.
they provide Ukraine with a kind of domain awareness that the Ukraine itself cannot, or even NATO, no, could possibly provide, uh, especially battlefield domain. No? So critical for you. The Americans provide a critical support in the area of intelligence. No? So I'm speculating that in the Philippines, the reason why we don't really see all the places where the Americans are is because some of these capabilities are for intelligence. No, they are probably using a lot of sensors uh, to provide a clearer picture of the domain in the South China Sea and even
Mm.
near Taiwan. No, because more than the nemesis and the the
Madis.
the Madis is the uh, surveillance system kasi all of these are systems, no, they are platforms, they are not simply missile launchers, no, and missiles. They also have radars now, so and these are like powerful radars, aside from the Gator, which is really a radar system. So I believe that the bulk of the U.S. deployment in the Philippines is geared towards gathering as much intelligence as possible on Chinese movements in the South China Sea, no? And through that, siguro they can kind of surmise the changing intentions of China because you know the Chinese are also not as static as we may think. No, they keep changing and they also adapting to changes in their environment. So it's important for for us to know what they're doing, but we don't have that capability. So I believe the intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing aspect of the alliance between the U.S. and the Philippines is the more critical one. Is the more critical support that the Philippines is getting. But
Yeah, I,
as we know, Manny,
I
di ba?
agree. Yeah.
Intelligence is always quiet. No, they make you believe that they don't know, but they already do. No, so that's the secret and beauty of intelligence. You may think that they don't know, but they already do. So, and uh, when they share that information with the armed forces of the Philippines, at least General Bronner and his staff can prepare better, can plan better, uh, and adapt as necessary.
Mm. Well, in fact, Rodney, the Philippines and the United States had signed an agreement in November 2024 on a general security
Yeah,
on in information exchange. This is actually an intelligence exchange between the U.S. and the military, so that they can provide real-time intelligence on the Philippines on the movements of Chinese military assets in the West Philippine Sea. Because they have satellite, they have radars, they have uh, aircraft moving around
yeah, yeah,
the region. So they are more informed about the activities and the movements in the West Philippine Sea. So they are sharing it to the Philippines on a need to know basis. No?
yeah, yeah,
And for this reason, the armed forces of the Philippines have activated a new command. This is called the Armed Forces Strategic Command under Major General Pedragosa, an Air Force
mhm,
uh, Major General who has extensive expertise and training and knowledge on geopolitics
yeah,
in the region. So the main job of this strategic command is to coordinate with our allies on the developments in the West Philippine Sea. And they are now testing a multi-domain and multi uh, front, no, joint force development locally, no. So that means the army, the air force, the navy, and the marines will work together. And for instance, they already have a first unilateral exercise, no, in Pag-asa Island, as well as in Palawan, where they simulated a takeover of a oil rig in
Yeah.
Palawan. So they are testing this multi-domain and multi-force, uh, joint force uh, activities, and then later on they will simulate with our allies, the Americans, the Japanese, the Australians, the Canadians, because we have a VFA with already 5 countries, no?
Yeah.
US, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, and Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. You I heard that the AFP does not even have a battle staff, no? For for I think that's one of the reasons why they formed that strategic command, no? Because they found a need for a battle staff in case of a war, no? And the long term strategic framework of the U.S. and the Philippine security arrangement calls for a unified command. Eventually, no, the AFP I think is just preparing for that event for that commitment. No, it's a part of the agreement between the U.S. and the Philippines. But if the Philippines does not have a battle staff that can coordinate, no? Work with a American battle staff. Because
Yeah.
may the US automatic na yung battle staff. They it's for war they already have a structure for that. But apparently the AFP is still building that. So I guess the formation of the AFP Strategic Command is a step towards that direction. Because
Yes,
I think
correct.
eventually
Yeah.
what is envisioned is a strategic command structure, a strategic command and control structure similar to one in Japan. No? Because in Japan, they have a uh,
Joint
they have a
command.
common battle staff, and it's under a U.S. Star rank officer. No? It's so I guess uh, with the intensity of and the scope, no? The scale of military cooperation between the U.S. and the Philippines, that is also a logical step. It's progressive, but it has to get there if you are to manage a large combined military force uh, in case of war, so that they move in one direction. No?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's the rationale a bit behind that formation of the strategic command.
I think we're doing it step by step, little by little, Rodney, because last week when the USS Nimitz battle group sailed in West Philippine Sea near Bajo de Masinloc,
Yeah.
a Japanese destroyer and two of our frigates, Jose Rizal and Antonio Luna, and a Coast Guard vessel, Melchor Aquino, uh, sailed alongside the USS Carrier Group. This
Mhm.
is a big show of force, and I think this is the first time that the Philippines has joined a freedom of navigation operation in the West Philippine Sea, especially very near Bajo de Masinloc. So
Yeah.
they are sending a message to China that, hey, look, we are together, and you cannot just do your ICAD operations in the West Philippine Sea.
Yeah.
And actually, immediately after the drills in Baudimos China responded with its own drill, no? With its own unilateral drill. They send 7 vessels and 3 aircrafts
Yeah.
in Bao
Okay.
de Masinloc, including a bomber, Rodney.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
the problem is Bao de Masinloc is very far from China, so they would need a lot of airtime, no, to
Yeah.
go there. Unlike in the Philippines, it's very close to Clark and Subic, so we have a enough lead time, no,
Mm.
in case of an emergency in the area. But there are some people here, especially those opposed to the U.S. involvement, no, in this defense uh, agreement, that they said that the tensions will only increase in the area because of the regular and constant presence of the Americans, especially in Bajo de Masinloc.
Yeah,
And
because money in the past you notice when they do those freedom of navigation missions no near Chinese Chinese
islands,
forces, it's just one destroyer no making a pass no it just pass through the contested area and then go through and then go to another to their eventual destination. But
yes,
but this is the progression that you're saying. Eh. Now it's like a battle group passing through those contested
sailing,
waters. No? And
sailing
now,
close.
and yeah, and another progression, one step higher is now they involve the Philippines and Japan, no? And maybe later we will see. No, I don't know how far they want to push China, but maybe in the future you might see a joint passage by the U.S. and maybe Taiwan and Japanese ships. I don't know if the Philippines will join them through the Taiwan Strait. No, why?
Yeah, why not?
That's not a impossible situation. I mean scenario because the U.S. is let's admit it, China is right. It's the U.S. is really bent on imposing its will in the region. So I guess if you there's one way of seeing it, it will increase the tension, but it could also convince China that it could offer a stronger deterrent against
To
China,
behave.
whatever it's planning in the region. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yes, I think if China is building a first island chain in the South China Sea, the Americans are also trying to strengthen its own island chain from Japan, Taiwan, Philippines down to
mhm.
Australia. Because
Yeah.
the deployment of this part of this strengthening of the U.S. first island chain, because the bulk of the American forces are very far in Guam, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
That's true.
Hawaii.
Mhm.
So they're moving forward to smaller islands in the South China Sea, because the bases of the U.S. in Japan and Korea are very vulnerable to an attack. So they
Mhm.
were trying to diffuse their forces in many places that maybe China would guess where the response will come from. No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
They're
so
spreading the
it's part of
forces.
their, yeah. So it's part of a U.S. strategy.
Yeah,
to spread their forces.
they're spreading their forces strategically actually, because
Yeah,
where they are now, where the U.S. is now, especially in the Philippines, is offers them a an advantage over China, like you said, no. Uh, it will take them longer to fly from Hainan to
okay.
Baho de Masinloc than for the US to fly from Clark to Baho de Masinloc. So it's strategic, no? The US is in the Philippines uh, because it provides them advantages over China, which is their presumed uh, nemesis, no? To say. And it's it's you notice, money. You said it's a progression. No? If you notice, it's a carefully crafted progression. It's
Yeah,
like they're already starting to stockpile equipment. No? It's under the guise of disaster response, but those are supplies that can sustain troops for an extended period if needed, no? And those stockpiles will be closer to the probable conflict areas than China. No? If they have to, if China launches an invasion of Taiwan, for example, although Taiwan Strait is it provides China easy access to any forces that may be able to land in Taiwan, but the US will not be far behind. The amount of time and energy that China needs to resupply is also the time and resources the US will require to resupply their own side, no? The US side, the Taiwanese side. So the China does not have an advantage as far as logistics is concerned. If the US was not in the Philippines, then China would have that advantage, that logistics advantage. Now that the US is in the Philippines and building a stockpile there, especially in northern Luzon, then China no longer has an advantage. Equal na sila. They're equal as far as that is concerned. And
yeah,
during World War II, Eisenhower basically won the war in Europe through superior logistics. Huh? So
yes,
that's
because of
that's
the
that
strong
plays a
industrial base.
yeah.
The industrial base of the Americans are strong and untouched. No,
and
hindi
and the
nabobombe.
and the
They're
and
not being
money
bombed.
the capability to deliver those that industrial advantage to the battlefield, no? that's
Yes,
the that's the key of military logistics. And right
yeah.
now China does not have no longer has an advantage uh, uh, if war came, no? So
Actually, the Philippines will provide logistic support to the Americans in case of a conflict because we cannot send our own troops. No, we
yeah.
cannot send our own aircraft and ships because they are inferior. No, but
Mhm.
we can supply them with logistics like water, medicine, food, and also fuel. No, we can
Yeah,
supply
yeah.
them, and the EDCA bases are designed for supporting logistics. And in fact, in Subic, there was a proposal to build a munition factory for the Americans. No?
Mhm.
So in that case, if that will push through, the bullets, the missiles will not come from the mainland, but will come from
True.
Subic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's closer. So it's they can prosecute any conflict better if the supply lines are closer.
Yeah, and they can sustain it, money. The
Yeah,
key there is sustainment, because if the war drags on, like in Ukraine, no? Putin, he thought he could finish off Ukraine in 3 days, no? But now
yeah,
it's like 3 years, no? So
yes,
sustainment will be critical, eh. So if, like for example, the same thing happens to Taiwan, then Taiwan will need a lot of support, no, logistical support, especially if China tries to encircle the island. Uh, so those the Philippines will be a critical component of a Taiwan operation, if it comes to that.
well,
So
the problem, Rodney, if you will have an amphibious assault on Taiwan, they will pass through the Balintang Embassy Channel.
yeah. Within range of the Nemesis.
Yeah,
You know, ironically, that was the original strategy of China. That's why they set up all those bases, South China Sea in the Spratly Islands. It's because they wanted to neutralize the U.S. advantage in nuclear aircraft carriers, using silkworm missiles based on the shore. No? And their concept was to rain down the silkworms on the U.S. Aircraft carrier battle group. So now, ironically, Manny, it's they also now they have that they face that prospect, no, with the U.S. Anti-ship missile batteries stationed in northern Luzon. So if they if they even try to use Bashi Channel for invasion of Taiwan, then they face the prospect of Nemesis missiles raining down on their own ships. So
yeah, on their amphibious ship.
yeah, and the U.S. is also trying to develop new amphibious ships. No? The report to Congress that I was mentioning earlier was did mention, it was calling congressional attention to a proposal of the Marines to build new amphibious warfare ships. So it China must understand that the U.S. is not just bent on defense, no. I- if they get those new amphibious ships, then the Marines who are already in the Philippines or in southern
Okinawa.
Japan will have that capability to counter punch, no, if needed. So uh, I guess this is just all part of the U.S. deterrence, no? To deter China from even contemplating an invasion of another country.
Yes, that's right. So before we close, Rodney,
Yeah.
any last word on the new developments in the Indo-Pacific concerning the Americans in the defense of Taiwan against Chinese probable invasion?
Yeah, yeah. There are many distractions, no? For the U.S. military right now. Their biggest deployment right now is in the Caribbean, ano? And but they have
I'm
not
just drunk.
but they have not lost focus of China. The South China Sea, the situation, because Secretary Hegseth is has devoted a lot of his time and effort in ensuring that the U.S. has maintains a robust capability in our part of the world, and that is partly because of the number of officials, no, including
Mhm.
State Secretary Marco Rubio, uh, who is surrounded by what we may call China hawks. No? So these people will ensure that even if the U.S., principally President Trump, is distracted, you know, with other things, no, with other military matters, the focus will remain on China.
Oh,
So China should know that, and I think the U.S. is giving enough reason for China to think that.
okay. Well said, Rodney. And our friends, thank you for joining us today in our podcast. And we hope that you can join us again next month for another episode of the Asia Pacific Insight podcast on defense and security issues. So thank you very much for watching. And I hope you like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel so that our community of defense enthusiasts will grow. Thank you very much and good day.